Hi, Mark here from the Tangibound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangibound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangibound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangiboundNetwork.com and see if Tangibound Network is right for you.
We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind, so if you feel you do need help, please reach out and get the help you need. We have a whole list of things on our files page over on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylifepodcast, and or just search on the internet for the suicide prevention hotline number, or go to NAMI.org or whatever resource you can find. But just please reach out for help if you need it. If you feel as though you're going to harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. And try not to be alone. Also, if you feel that way and you realize that you're writing a note or making plans of how you would do, like harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. That's a huge red flag. And lastly, please do not replace the idea of therapy with listening to this show. Again, if you need help, please reach out and get the help that you need, or contact us. We can try to help you find the help that you need.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time, stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to The Crazy Life, everyone. My name's Jen. I am your hostess for the evening, and with me, as always, we have Brian and Henno. Hey, guys.
More like rarely.
Yeah.
But Brian always.
Henno's our aloof third mic. Occasionally he's here. Always here in spirit.
He's here more than he's not.
It's true.
Yeah. I mean, physically. No. He's just staring off in space most of the time when we're doing this, you know.
Oh, that's what he's doing.
He's got shiny stuff on the ceiling. He just stares at the whole time.
Ooh, shiny.
Yeah, well, shiny things. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Shiny.
Any happy people?
Nope. None of that. We will have none of that.
It's a really good song.
I can't stand it.
It's a very good song.
What makes it a really good song is it actually changes from minor to major.
Yeah.
The verses are in a minor key, and the chorus is in a major key. And it's actually a really cool transition. And I sat there, I was like, wow, if this song wasn't so overplayed and annoying, I would maybe listen to it more often. Because it just happened to come on. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, and I realized how good the verse was.
Yeah, I'm admittedly not a big REM fan either, but a lot of it, that song especially, is one I can't stand because it's, like you said, it was on all the time in the 90s. So
at TV, it is like, oh,
yeah.
I'm responsible for my favorite lyrics ever. So, which is not from that song, but it's from Losing My Religion. Oh no, I've said too much, but I haven't said enough.
Yes, that's right.
I knew what it was.
Love that lyric.
That we have discussed this before.
One of my many phrases that I hold near and dear to my heart. But, anyways, now that we have derailed multiple times in multiple different directions, we can jump back on track and find out, because Hanno, you get to go first. How was your week? How are you doing, man?
I'm doing better. Last week I was very, very sick.
Yeah, we just assumed you were taking, like playing hooky. So
Yeah.
I figured that's why you didn't want to take a test. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we didn't believe you at all, though. No, I'm kidding.
There's one I went to work after like the full-on cold symptoms were up, but it was I had just the worst fatigue and from just sinus infection stuff. And there was one day I came home. We had it was a great afternoon. We had a project to do and we totally nailed it. And it was really fun and awesome. It was all of us working together. And when I got home and I had a cup of coffee like I usually do, I had a little bite to eat and I laid down on my bed. It was probably about 6, I want to say. And I fell asleep. And I woke up at 2:30, hit the NyQuil some more, and slept till 6:30.
Man,
like,
you were getting them NyQuil sleeps, huh?
Oh well, I had to because I just like so much, just yuck.
I think that's the scientific term. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
just,
yuck. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of my week just kind of I don't even remember much of it. But Friday was awesome. I haven't worked out with my former my first podcasting experience with Angela. She's been doing it outdoors and she's been doing it in one of our local parks here in town. And so Friday I was like, okay, I'm still not 100%, but it's actually good because we're going to do some circuit training and it's out on the lawn with, beautiful views and it's mostly we're doing there's some bands and balls and stuff, but for mostly it's just cardio and it's just what you can do with your own body weight and stuff. So it was perfect. But I'm so sore today because I haven't done anything in 6 months.
Right.
When I was laying down with Benny and I got to go, I went to go like just get myself up like a sit up.
Yeah.
And I literally rolled over on my side and rolled over and pushed myself up. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
See, what you got to do is it's not because you haven't worked out; it's because you've been sick. So that's what it is. You're in a weaker state right now. It's not because, you've gone soft. Yeah.
Totally gone soft. And I got my COVID shot. And what else happened? Oh, I've been trying to get out in the sun. I did an hour and a half today just because when Jamaica comes around, I don't want to be a white pasty human that is slathering themselves in, 45.
Yeah.
So
right.
And I would totally go to a tanning place. I'd have no qualms about that. Just to have a
base tan, yeah.
I can get a fake tan, but I can't. There's literally no UV.
Oh, yeah, and a spray tan doesn't really help you with that. So yeah,
Sharon tried to pull that one off. What was it, year before last, and she got burned. Yeah, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Yeah,
doesn't. Yeah,
right.
Not at all. Yeah, let's see. Other than that, I got my. I celebrated 14 years of sobriety.
Woo!
Woo! Congratulations!
My cool little Pink Floyd inspired. So I usually we get just the round medallions, and I like fun ones, so I will order myself one. Like last year was purple for 13.
Yeah.
And this year I was looking them up and I find this one and it's more like a card and it ended up being really thick and heavy, but it was so cool. It was Pink Floyd themed. So the front of it had Dark Side of the Moon and it used that as an homage. And on the back of it, it was The Wall and it had one of the step prayers on the back against the wall with the wall font.
Yeah.
I thought it was so fun.
Cool.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun.
It is. The reason I want to clarify, the reason I'm laughing was when Henno posted it on his Facebook, he was also very much kind of like, what was it? He said something about it, like, this is a little, like his, most of the time, people listening to Pink Floyd are in a certain enlightened state, we'll say.
Even like this.
Yeah.
So,
but it's weird because that's called, what's that called? I think it's like California sober or something like that's what it's called. To where basically you still smoke pot. Like, not that you do, but I've heard a couple of people like refer to it as that, and I was like, okay, so whatever. I mean, sobriety means what it means to whoever, Yeah.
Like if anybody ever, most people aren't going to come out and admit it because they don't have. I hate to say it, but they should have the confidence to own their own level of sobriety.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid of being judged by others, which I get.
Mm-hmm.
People would, but I would never hold it against anybody. Now, if you go walk it into an AA meeting, all right, maybe I'm like, well, However, so here's the funny part about.
Oh, that's really funny. I didn't know that's a Demi Lovato song actually. California Sober is actually a Demi, which is weird because of the recent circumstances she's been through.
It's wild when you think about like 12-step meetings. You could have someone that has got a gambling problem, but they can still drink, right? Yeah, and we have like, and I hear people, I see people out having a glass of wine, then show up at a CODA meeting,
Mm-hmm.
but like there's nothing wrong with that. So, but it's weird how when all of a sudden it comes to substances, with those, there's no gray area there.
Yeah.
Everybody else is a gray, there's plenty of gray areas, but this place we have none. And the worst of and I don't mean worst as in they're just their whole philosophy has to be this way. I don't hold it against them.
Yeah.
But which is Narcotics Anonymous, their whole thing is a drug is a drug is a drug.
Yeah. And for some people, I can understand that to some extent, because
so alcohol's it, and this is why I've been to an NA meeting. And I walked in and I introduced myself as an alcoholic because I was bringing somebody there that I thought would resonate better with NA, because I think there's, I was like, yeah, I think this might resonate better with you. And it did. And it was great because they're friends of mine that run this meeting, and it was great to be there because we're talking about the same thing. I mean, I was addicted to alcohol. That's a fact, right?
Yeah.
But I have a hard time when a group of people say a drug is a drug is a drug, and they're drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes afterwards. And the thing that's really really harsh is they're also the NA types. These certain types are also, they'll go at people for their mental health drugs, and that is unfortunate. There's a few people in where I live that have actually brought it up in group meetings.
Yeah. And
it's never happened in front of me, thankfully, but I've heard about it, and if I ever did hear anybody, I would absolutely come unglued.
I actually saw somebody on Twitter that I follow posted the other night about how they're sick of hearing from people that because they're on antidepressants or whatever, how getting a stigma for that, and they'll be like, well, why don't you try weed or whatever? And it's like, how is that any, kind of like, what? It doesn't matter. This works for me, like don't.
Yeah. And it shouldn't matter to you. Yeah. Because it's your recovery.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, I don't care, and that's why I think there was a little bit of a resistance of, I've had friends who are resistant to talk to me about that. They're no longer, they're no longer working with a doctor, and they may be smoking weed or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly don't. Whatever works for you, whatever gets you through the day, and it's your recovery. It's not mine. And, and my own, I will always be the first person to say, I've been to Grateful Dead concerts as a sober person.
What?
Why? I was high.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no freaking way I could be in the 9th row of a Grateful Dead concert and not be stoned out of my freaking mind.
You're literally part of a cloud at that kind of concert.
The music sounds fantastic.
Yeah. Really quick, I want to point out what I had talked about when I said California sober. Apparently, by that she means, or whatever the term generally means, it's an approach to recovery that includes drinking alcohol and smoking cannabis in moderation. So I have a thing from Healthline that I'll throw in the show notes if anyone wants to read a little more about it. So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. And with that, I will step off the high horse, but I try not to get on one. I don't, because there's no way. I drink coffee every morning. Why? And it's a mood altering substance because you don't want to be around me if I don't drink it. That's why I try not to get too, because I've been portrayed that way before among some of my friends.
Yeah.
But it's only when it comes to alcohol because I do have, that is my thing. But I am never, ever, ever going to get on anybody else about their, sobriety, stuff like that. So I actually had somebody, a friend, looking for some advice this week, and this is a professional person, and they were just calling me to ask me my opinion about talking to another alcoholic. And the one thing that this person was younger, which I've expressed before, I have a real hard time. I tend, when I've had a chance to mentor or work with someone that's younger, I have a very difficult time because when they asked me what I did, I was like, well, I was getting hammered when I was your age.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah.
I don't know what to say. What would I be doing? I'd be in the bars drinking. Okay. At any rate, the one comment is I don't do anything any different than anybody else does. Well, after admitting that every weekend they drink tequila, and my friend who's the professor literally said, nobody voluntarily drinks tequila every weekend. And I started laughing. I'm like, get your point.
It's amazing what we can talk ourselves into as normal.
It is. You're not wrong. Yeah.
After that first gnarly, sick morning, hungover after tequila, we typically moderate that stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
So funny.
Tequila's not an everyday drink.
No.
No.
I mean,
so some people it is, but for most people,
True
they
enough.
don't buy a liter every weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but other than that, other than me, my health. Oh well, these things these things pass.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Anyhow, I'm done.
Well, I got my first shot today, and had my mom and her partner set up for theirs yesterday. So, which is really nice because I wasn't nervous about getting the shot or anything today. But it's just a weight off of me because not so much like, oh, I'm all better now or I'm, whatever, but it's just it's tough to schedule for them. It's hard to find appointments still. So it was stressful that every night I'm combing sites trying to find something and not finding them. And it's like, I don't want, especially my mom and Jim to get theirs, so that they're, cause they're in a, shoot, I can't think what the words I'm looking for right now. Thank you. Yes. They're more high risk. And, so it was nice to get that. And it was a relief for them too, cause they've been worried and wanting to get to that point and stuff. But a couple days ago, I was with my mom and we went to the store and, she got out of the car and right as, because she had a prescription and I thought she might have to go in. Normally I would just go in and take care of it, but I thought she might have to go in because it was a new prescription and it was through her disability. So I didn't know if she would have to, show ID and all that kind of stuff. And she walks around the car and I don't know exactly what happened, whether she tripped, fell, whatever, but she fell. And how when you get out of a car, you turn to shut the door, basically. I turned my back to her for long enough to shut the door. I heard her, cause she, kind of yelled a little bit as she fell and I knew exactly what was going on. And I no more and turned and she's down. And they have these parking barricades right up by the front of the place that are filled with dirt and mulch basically. And she fell and because of her disability, she can't most of the time, we would adjust to where we get our hands out to try to catch ourselves. She does not, her brain doesn't do that. That switch is gone from the head injury she has. So boom, she just hit and she hit her face. And yeah. And, she had a big scratch, on her, nose, which there was some blood there and she scraped her face up a little in a couple of spots and stuff and, bit her lip and hit her arm pretty good. But I'll tell you what, it scared the heck out of me, you know. And I've been dealing with this with her forever. She had this injury a year before I was born. So literally my whole life she's dealt with this, you know. But every time it happens, especially as she ages, you know, you start worrying more and more about this stuff. But while I was helping her up, like an employee from the store was coming out. She had just ended her shift, and she literally like ran over and was like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Do you need me to call 911?" And I went ahead and let her call 911 because I couldn't tell the what turned out to be, it looked like basically what happened on her nose was it looked like she got probably the top layer of skin in one spot, kind of probably a piece of the mulch or something, just kind of tore it off, but it was all like dirty and stuff. And I couldn't tell how deep it was. So plus I knew she hit her head, you know, always a chance of concussion. So I'm like, well, I'm going to let them come out rather than say, nah, well, you know, I'll just keep it, you know. So they came out and couldn't have been nicer guys. And, it's interesting how people behave in different circumstances. There was literally like where they blocked some traffic or cars in the parking lot. A woman walked out behind and she looks, I'm talking with this one paramedic, and she looks and she goes, "How am I supposed to get out of here?" And I mean, with all the sass, and the guy just turns and looks at her and goes, "Ma'am, when we're done with the emergency, we'll move and then you can leave." Turns and goes right back to talking to me. And he goes, "I hate when people think they're more important than someone else." And that was, and I was like, man, he shut her down with the quickness. And she was just like, and I was like, whew. Like, part of me wanted to like kind of go over his shoulder and be like, yeah, you know, but I felt like that, you know, that's just rubbing someone's nose in it. You know, you already got the scoreboard. But anyway, you know, they checked her out. She's okay. She's scratched up. She hit her head, but she showed no concussion signs, nothing like that and everything. So, you know, whatever. But it just, like I said, it really, moments like that. Like I remember years ago, I came home from school one day and she was on our, we had the house I lived in had like an enclosed porch kind of at the front of it. And she had fallen and she had been there for hours. And I got home from school and I no more opened the door and I heard her like crying, and I'm like, you know, immediately like, oh God, you know, and I saw her and it's scary, you know, it's really scary. And like I said, this isn't she's getting older. This is no, she's been dealing with this for 43 years. You know, this is normal as much as I hate to say it that way. So, but it doesn't get any, and it just, like I said, it just gets scarier every time because of aging, because you don't know how strong bones are and all this kind of stuff, as you know. But that employee was so helpful, and she went in real quick. She got the manager of the produce section, because that's right inside the door is the produce section. So he came out, then she came back out. And while they were standing there, the paramedics had just gotten there. And I'm like, "Are you guys going to be out here?" And they go, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, the paramedics are here." I had to, like, I was going to use the restroom as soon as we went into the store. And I'm standing there and I'm like legs crossed, hopping basically, you know. So I'm like, I gotta, you know. And they were like, "Oh, yeah, you know." So I get inside, and of course there's like a line to the bathroom, and I'm like, "Oh, come on." You know, there's another one on the complete other side of the store. So I almost run over there, and I'm like, "Oh man, if there's a line here, I might have to use a sink." You know, like we're in that kind of situation. So, but it was fine. But, you know, I got back out, and then the store manager or the shift manager, I don't know which, he was out there and talked with me for a while. And I told him, I said, "I want to make sure that I thank you for being nice and helpful." I said, "But I also want to make sure that you know how helpful your employees were, because they, like, the one's not even on shift. She could have just went home, you know, whatever." Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I know that's probably what they're supposed to do, but I'm like, I still want it known that it meant a lot to me and my mom, and I appreciate that, you know. And I'm going to follow up on their website, you know, and that, because I've used their website to complain about the same store various times. So I feel it's only fair, that I go the other way with it, because they were really nice and helpful and stuff and caring. So I did really appreciate that. And, you know, like every episode I mentioned, you know, being kind, help when you can. And there were a couple people that when she first fell immediately were like, you know, is everything okay? Do you need help? Kind of a thing. So it was nice to see, again, during a time when we're supposed to socially distance and stay back to people, we're like, no, this is the right thing to do. I'm going to get inside the bubble basically and make sure that person's okay, you know? So, you know, and I actually forgot when I was with her at a different doctor's appointment, or I'm sorry, when I was waiting to get my vaccine today, there was a woman whose appointment was right after mine. Well, 15 minutes after mine. They were scheduling them 15 minutes apart. And this woman was so nervous. I mean, she's sitting there. She's an older woman. And I mean, she was just, and she's like, I wish I could just get it done with, you know. So when they called my name, I go up to the pharmacist because they were giving the shots. And I'm like, can she go before me? Because it's bugging her. Like, she's, you know, life is stinking for her right now because she's so anxious and whatever. And they were like, well, you know, they didn't want to because, you know, they do things very deliberately to make sure there's no paperwork mess ups and all that and stuff. And then the woman's like, I'll be okay, you know. And I was like, and I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, because I'm more than willing to trade appointments with you if they can, you know, work it out. And she's like, no, I'll be okay. And when I came out and she's like, how was it? And I'm like, I barely felt it. And she's like, oh, good. And, you know, I got a feeling she has a fear of needles or whatever. And she just wanted it over, you know. What stinks is I walk out and there's going to be probably 10, 15 minutes before they call her back because they disinfect the room before the next person. And they have to go get the paperwork and the shot and, you know, get everything in a row and then go back in. So I'm like, this poor lady's going to have to sit probably 20 minutes more in this, unfortunately, you know, and well, we were, you know, and I was talking with her because I had to stick around to wait, you know, and I was talking with her a little bit and I asked her, I said, do you know any breathing exercises? And she goes, yeah, she's like, you know, she's like, my doctor mentioned it to me once before. And I told her it's a great time to practice them. And I stood there and did some breathing with her so we both could relax. And then she thanked me and, you know, they called her back and whatever, you know, so I left at that point. But it was just, you know, it stinks that they can't just, you know, just basically say, all right, everybody get your, you know, roll your sleeve up and just go down a row with like a you know, a vaccine gun and just be like, bang, bang, bang down the line, get us all out of here. But, you know, but it's like, I know what it's like to be in that position of sitting there anxious as can be waiting for, you know, something like that. So I just, yeah, you know, so hopefully everything went fine for her and hopefully she doesn't have any side effects or anything. Cause, you know, I'm sure that won't help her case for a second shot if she has you know, bad side effects to the first one. But, yeah, that's, so I'm trying to think, what else have I done this week? Not much. Been trying to do better with my eating. We went out to dinner yesterday after they got their shots. And, the server that we had is maybe one of my favorite servers I've ever had. And also, I think the reason for it was she reminded me a lot of me. And like, she was cracking jokes with us. You know, like, because one of the options was like, they asked my mom about soup, and they're like, oh, you know, we have cabbage soup. And of course, my mom orders cabbage soup because the smell of cooked cabbage makes me ill almost. So it wouldn't have been so bad, except that it was hot. So my mom's blowing on it. I'm sitting across the table from her. So she's literally blowing the smell of cabbage soup right at me. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, huh? Like that scene in Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey where he's going, like I'm sitting there almost doing that, trying not to because it's gross. But so she was holding up a napkin and blowing on the soup to try to block it. And, wow. The server brings out my salad and she goes, she was behind me and she goes, here's your cup of cabbage soup. And I'm like, well, huh? You know, and she sets down the salad and I was like, all right. I see you got me. And I ordered like a grilled chicken Parmesan and, she brings that out, and there was a piece of like Texas toast that came with it. She brought out the dinners for my mom and Jim, and then sets down the piece of Texas toast for me, and that was it. And she goes, "There you go." And then she's like, well, "I'll be back in a little while to see," and I'm like, She's just messing with me. I loved it,
That was so funny.
And while she was just talking with us a little bit, and it was funny because when I mentioned that I can't stand cabbage, she goes, "Oh yeah, I don't like cabbage either," And then they ordered fish, and she was like, "I don't like fish," blah, blah. And I was like, "Yeah, me too," And then, I don't remember what it was. Oh, she said she's not a soup person because she doesn't really like hot liquids, which I have literally said that sentence verbatim to people because I don't drink hot liquids very often. Every once in a while, I'll have like hot chocolate. That's it. I don't drink tea. I don't drink coffee. I don't care for soup that much. I just am not that kind of. It was just so funny because I'm just like she's busting my balls here, and it's like this is weird, So yeah, but it was nice because she was really good as a server, and it always helps, when someone's personable and all that kind of stuff. But so it was nice. It was a good time. Food was really good, so it was. Still feels weird and stressful to eat out, though. It just
for a little while.
Yeah, it still feels weird. Like I'm sitting there the whole time, and we were way away from everybody too, which was cool. There was like nobody really near us. So, crack me up. There's a woman at another table that gets a cheeseburger, and she cuts it in half, and then she's looking at this, and it's not even a messy cheeseburger, and it's a good size one, and she's just like. Every time she'd go to pick it up, it was almost like, I don't know, the floor is lava kind of approach. like if she touched it, her hands were going to burn. It was weird. I think she just didn't want to get messy. And, I'm just like, man, at some point it's like, just tuck a napkin in your shirt and just get into it, just get to work. I mean, you got to just throw that aside. They'll bring you napkins, it's fine. If you're if you're a real savage when you're eating, you can always hold a napkin up by your face or something so that they don't see that you just have hamburger stuff all over your forehead or whatever as you're eating, But
right.
Yeah, so it's been a good week, but it's one of those weeks where it kind of started to where we were all kind of feeling the stress of just wanting to get the shots over with, and my mom had some things with another doctor and just various stuff. The beginning of the week was kind of stressful, but the week is kind of ramped up as far as how we're all feeling as it's gone on. So it's been nice. And the weather has been pretty nice too, which always makes me feel better. So it's helped keep my depression at bay as far as that goes. So there you go. That's my long-winded week.
Well, let's see. My week.
Oh, sorry, Jen. We're out of time. See you guys next week. No.
No. So I decided that I was going to go into the office this week to kind of get myself more accustomed to the routine of getting up, getting dressed, doing the hair, doing the makeup, the whole works, and actually going into the office, spending, 8 hours that's not distracted by life and actually focused. And it was very interesting. It was different. I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. I'm very productive at home, but I'm not as focused as I am when I'm in the office.
Yeah, that's pretty normal for most people, Yeah.
So, I mean, as much as I love working from home, there is some benefit to being in the office. If I'm being 100% honest, which, as we know on this podcast, I always am.
Sure.
Yeah, I was able to accomplish a lot more than I have been at home, just by sitting there and not having the daily distractions of taking the dogs out or getting up and grabbing something to eat and all the other stuff that fills the day in between emails and stuff. So, but it was good. It was a good week, and I have, let's see, I have an appointment coming up on Monday with my psychiatrist to follow up on the medicine, because he put me on the lithium, and to follow up on things. So,
are you feeling any different, or are you still feeling the same as you did last week with it?
I'm still feeling pretty much the same thing as last week. I don't think it's doing anything for me.
That's fair.
So I'm going to talk to him about maybe trying something else, if there's something else that he would recommend me try, or I'm not really sure where to go next. And I think he'll be really good at giving me advice. So we'll figure that out.
I hope so. I mean, it's his job. So yeah, I know what you mean, though. Yeah. Hopefully there'll be some sort of a good game plan.
I hope so. Because, it's still a struggle. I'm not going to lie. I'm still struggling. So I'm doing pretty good, but I could use some help.
Yeah.
So that's what he's there for.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good, that you're recognizing that and that you're, following through on that.
Yeah.
You're not just sitting in denial and running the other way, which is easy to do. We've,
wonderful place.
Oh, I know. We've all spent plenty of time there.
Egypt is awesome.
Yeah.
It's the coolest place ever.
Yep.
I love denial. But what are you going to do? I know. You can't stay there. It's a sometimes visit place, but you can't stay there.
Yeah.
So, something else. So my mom called me up. There's this gentleman that she listens to at church who's in the church band, and he was playing at a distillery, a distillery. So on Thursday. So she wanted to go listen to live music on Thursday and have a beer. When your 70-year-old mother calls you up and says, let's go out on a Thursday night and have a beer, you go. So I took her out when we had a couple friends meet up with us and had a really nice time. So it was really cool to kind of get out there and, listen to live music. It's just been forever.
It has.
I listened to live music, and it was just the coolest thing just to sit there and have a drink and just be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's probably been well over, obviously a year, but even longer, because I don't remember when the last time I listened to live music before shutdowns happened and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even remember when that was. It's been a long time.
And it was just a guy and his guitar, and he was very good, very talented. And we had a really nice time, but it was just cool just to kind of be out in public and just kind of sit there. I mean, there wasn't many people around us. We were at a table, and the tables were all spread out.
You weren't on the dance? No dancing?
No dancing on the tables.
Oh, I didn't mean on the tables. You're the one that took it there, but I meant on the
couple ladies that decided that they were going to dance after a few drinks.
Well, I know some places won't, they aren't allowing it because you don't want people to congregate like that, so.
Yeah. No. Yeah. There were a few ladies that decided to have a couple drinks and then dance, but that kind of goes with the territory.
Yeah, tequila will do that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm trying to think anything else of notary. Nope. Other than I saw a nice little disagreement about a mask today. A gentleman wasn't wearing a mask and in the grocery store, and a woman decided to point it out. And his response for him not wearing a mask is that he's been vaccinated, he's got the shot, and he's an American.
Yeah. I heard the same argument last night, actually, at a grocery store.
There you go.
Between a worker of the store and a guy trying to come in. So, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep.
It's sad, but, there's not much we can do. But just try to love each other and try not to get each other sick.
Yeah.
That's all I can hope for.
Yeah.
I'm keeping my expectations really low. Just really, really low. Don't make each other sick and try to love each other. That's it. Not a lot. But,
Sounds like
I
a
don't
bunch
know.
of hippie bunk to me.
Yes, it is. And I am fine with it,
Yeah.
with my bump.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, that's all I've got. Henno, do you have our article for today?
I do. And this is going to tie in with Brian's breathing.
Yay, breathing exercises.
Yeah.
It's
and being in the moment and that usual topic, but it's more specific because I was looking at a, living in the, being in the moment kind of an article, and they mentioned Raisin meditation as one of the things to do. And I was like, what is Raisin meditation?
I've heard of Raisin, Arizona.
Yeah. It was something about it was familiar. I have a friend in high school. His name was Raisin Cane.
Wait, legit Raisin Cane?
His name
Oh
is Raisin
man,
Cane.
that just sounds so movie or made up, So
O-N, Raisin
Fun
Cane.
parents.
And it was just Ray Cane.
yeah. Oh, he went by Ray? Come on, you got to go by Raisin.
And the best thing about it, I mean, we played soccer together, and we were just two of a kind. I mean, he was a super cool dude, and so Dad was a former '60s hippie musician.
Nice.
That would have been my guess. Yeah.
It's a humor.
Yeah.
His name was Tim Kaine. He played in a band called the Sons of Champlin, which, if you look at late '60s, actually Bill Champlin was somehow involved with Chicago, the band Chicago too. But at any rate,
Right.
Tim is awesome. Has always had a great sense of humor. Actually, if you're looking for any children's music, that's his solo career now, is doing children's music, and he is so good. But yeah, he had a great sense of humor. Tim's sister, or Ray's sister's name was Paloma, which I don't know what that means, but
I don't know, but I know there's a wrestler with that name.
So Raisin meditation is, well, I'm just going to go from the article. Why you should try it. Well, many of us spend our lives rehashing the past or rushing into the future without pausing to enjoy the present. The president.
Nice.
Sometimes you need to enjoy the president. As the world around us, our life might feel only half lived as we're too busy to savor or even notice everyday pleasures. So practicing mindfulness can help. And one way to practice mindfulness is to do something very simple and basic, and like eating something. So one of the most basic, widely used methods for cultivating mindfulness is to focus your attention on each of your senses as you eat a raisin. This simple exercise is often used as an introduction to the practice of mindfulness. And that's why I'm bringing this up, because we talk a lot about mindfulness, but this article really puts into perspective of how mindfulness works. In addition to increasing mindfulness more generally, the Raisin meditation can promote mindful eating and foster a healthier relationship with food. And this is the other thing that I used to talk about on Angela's Awesome podcast, is not multitasking when you're eating, focusing on your eating as you eat. You'll be less likely to horf down a whole bunch of food, and you'll eat less and give your stomach that opportunity to catch up and start saying, I'm full. Because most of us eat faster than we give our bodies a chance to say, hey, whoa, had enough. So you get to try it with a single raisin. Now, why does it work? Well, because you're increasing the awareness of your internal mental and physical states. Mindfulness can help people gain a greater sense of control over their thoughts, feelings, and behavior in their present moment. Paying closer attention to the sensations of eating can increase your enjoyment of your food and deepen the appreciation opportunity to satisfy our hunger. Mindfulness can also help you become more attuned to hunger and fulfilled signals, and therefore avoiding overeating or emotional eating. All right, dog, I'm going to kill you. I would yell for my wife, but then I'd sound like Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, you would.
It's true.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
Okay. Evidence that it works. It's in the article. Check the links. There's actual articles and how to do it. And this is the part that I really want to do it. Time required, 5 minutes daily for at least a week.
That's a lot of
suggests that mindfulness increases the more you practice it. How to do it? 1. Holding. First, take a raisin and hold it in the palm of your hand or between your finger and thumb. Number 2, seeing. Take time to really focus on your raisin. Gaze at the raisin with care and full attention. Imagine that you've just dropped in from Mars and you've never seen an object like this before in your life. Let your eyes explore every part of it, examining the highlights, where the light shines, the dark hollows, the folds, the ridges, and any asymmetries or unique features. Number 3, touching. Turn the raisin over between your fingers, exploring its texture. Maybe do this with your eyes closed, if that enhances your sense of touch. 4, smelling. Hold the raisin beneath your nose. With each inhalation, take in any smell, aroma, or fragrance that may arise. As you do this, notice anything interesting that may be happening in your mouth or stomach. And I suggest maybe washing your hands before you handle the raisin and smell it, just to be sure.
Good idea.
Yeah. 5, placing. Now slowly bring the raisin up to your lips, noticing how your hand and arm know exactly how and where to position it. Gently place the raisin in your mouth without chewing. Notice how it gets into your mouth in the first place. Spend a few moments focusing on the sensations of having it in your mouth, exploring it with your tongue. 6, tasting. When you are ready, prepare to chew the raisin. Notice how and where it needs to be for chewing. Then, very consciously, take 1 or 2 bites into it and notice what happens in the aftermath, experiencing any waves of taste that emanate from it as you continue chewing. Without swallowing yet, notice the bare sensations of taste and texture in your mouth and how these may change over time, moment by moment. Also pay attention to any changes in the object itself. 7, swallowing. When you feel ready to swallow your raisin, see if you can first detect the intention to swallow as it comes up, so that even this is experienced consciously before you actually swallow the raisin. 8, following. Finally, see if you can feel what is left of the raisin moving down into your stomach and sense how your body as a whole is feeling after you have completed this exercise.
That's a lot of attention to a raisin, but I get it.
Yeah.
Doesn't it make sense now?
Yeah.
Yes, I get it. Yeah.
So, like, if you do this every day, it's 5 minutes maybe, but I mean, realistically, if you take the time to actually pick up your raisin, look at it, roll it around. All right, maybe you don't like raisins. A peanut, an almond,
A rock.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my dog.
Yeah.
Who loves rocks. Just don't swallow the rock. But
I'm not here to tell you what to do.
yeah, exactly. Pick a reasonable substitute and do the same thing. And this is when I do breathing exercises and mindfulness exercises with breathing. This is what I'm doing. It's very similar. I am focusing on the breath. I'm experiencing what it's doing as I take the breath in. I'm actually even visualizing the air moving through the passages of my nose, and then the exhalation, how it fills my lungs. What's my chest doing? All of this is the same thing as far as a breathing exercise, but I think this is more useful because it's more tangible.
Yeah.
It would be a great substitute for a raisin would be a cup of coffee. Because you're in the morning, you're just waking up, you have your cup of coffee, and it's a perfect time to go through this motion. Obviously you can't put coffee in your hand. You can, but it would hurt. Hold the cup. How's the
heat of the cup?
Yeah, the heat of the cup, the smell of the coffee, the taste of the coffee. Hold it in your mouth a little bit, the feel, the texture, all of those steps that you go through with the raisin, you could easily go through with a cup of coffee. And what a great way to start your morning with a little, mindfulness and a little breathing exercise and a little meditation if you wanted to do an extra little bit there. So it'd be a perfect way to start your day.
Yeah, what a great suggestion, because most of us just grab that cup of coffee and take that first swig and just go, but to take that extra bit of time to really focus on it, close your eyes, feel, is the bottom of the coffee cup smooth? Is it rough?
Mm-hmm.
Is the handle smooth? Is it rough? Is it oblong? Is it a perfectly, round shape? Whatever it is. And just even the feel of your lips on the edge of the cup.
Yeah.
And what I also liked about this article is it does tie into eating and how we eat.
Mm-hmm.
And we can do the same thing with any food we eat. And it was something that was part of the things we talked about on Angela's awesome podcast was about, mindfulness in eating and slowing down.
Yep. And enjoying your food also along the way,
And that allows you to start doing smaller portions if you're taking more time with your eating, that you're not watching TV at the same time, or you're not reading, which was an interesting challenge that we did with Dev, and when they were doing their podcast and they were doing eating and exercise challenges.
Yeah.
And they actually took this on as a challenge for 1 month, was to actually, or they did it by week? They did it by week, I think.
I think so. I don't remember, but I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that for a week, they all tried to no TV, no magazine, no book, no nothing. Sit down and eat and do nothing but eat and focus on your food.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun to hear how they're like, wow, it just changed how my relationship with food changed for that week.
Well, it's funny because I can actually, I've been doing that the last few days because I know that works. And I know usually when I get up, the first time that I eat, I will basically devour food. I just eat it plate and all, because I'm so hungry that I'm just like, nah. And what I've been doing instead was yesterday, I got that grilled chicken Parmesan, and there was 2 chicken breasts and then a side of spaghetti with it. And I was doing that. I was, cutting into it, taking a bite of it and chewing it, deliberately, everything very deliberate. And I noticed that once I got done with one of because they weren't real big, chicken breasts, but it was I got done with one of those, and part of I had eaten a small salad too, but part of the spaghetti, and I was like, I'm full. And I stopped, put the rest in a box, took it home last night. I was hungry. Later, I ate the rest of it and did the same thing. And I was like, I'm full. I didn't go, oh, I need to find more or whatever else. In the past, I would probably just house that whole plate because I can, but like I said, I've been doing that more, and it really works, because also being more deliberate and slowing down, obviously it gives your stomach a chance to tell your brain, hey, we got enough down here, we don't need any more sustenance. We got enough coal for the fire. So, I like that, and it really does, like you said, also it helps you stay in the moment too, and you do end up enjoying the food more, because you don't just like you said, you're not just mindlessly eating while you're watching TV, and you're not just shovel, you're taking your time and really noticing flavors and different stuff. So I can't encourage that behavior enough with people. It really does work. So if you're like me, and the part of the problem was that you eat a huge portion size because you're feel like you're ravenous, it's well, it's funny how I didn't take a week of eating this way to get down to eating a reasonable portion again. It took me 3 days, because once I started just mindfully eating, I was all of a sudden paying way more attention to it. And I apologize, I guess really, talking about this, I apologize for, if this is triggering for anybody, that's not obviously an intention, but, it's worked really well. And this also is very, one of the first guided meditations that I did on the Waking Up app is very similar to this, except it's just you sitting in a chair. What do you recognize the smells? What do you feel air moving around when you're breathing? Like you were saying, Heno, visualize it going through, in your nose, down into your lungs, back up and out, all that kind of stuff. What do you feel on the chair with your fingers and all of those kind of things? And I'll tell you, that's one, I go back to it, even though it's one of the very first ones. It's one of the easiest ones as far as, generally they're kind of like, hey, we'll break you in here and then we'll keep working on it. But it's one that I just keep going back to because it works so well to really just bring you right now and keep you kind of there for a few minutes, and by the time you're done, it's amazing how much more relaxed I feel, because for how many ever minutes I've not been, chasing swirling thoughts. I'm being very deliberate with how I'm thinking, what I'm holding on to and letting go of. It's a really interesting thing. I cannot encourage it enough.
Yeah, it makes a big difference for sure.
Yeah.
Well, guys, what do you think? We good?
Yeah.
All right, really quick before you go into the final stuff. Heno mentioned the name Paloma. I looked up what Paloma means, and it says, Google says, Paloma is a female given name derived from Latin polumbus, which means dove, a symbol of peace. The name can also be understood as the Holy Spirit symbolized in this bird. Paloma is a common name in Italy and Spain. So,
there you go.
So there you go.
Cool.
Cue the more you know.
Yeah.
Music.
So, we covered a lot of ground tonight, a lot of interesting stuff that we talked about, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. So, if you'd like to reach out to us, you know what to do. You can reach us at thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com is our website. thecrazylifepodcast@outlook.com is our email address. If you'd like to reach me direct, feel free to reach me on Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life. That's Jen with the G. And Heno, how can they reach you?
You can find me on Twitter at Ida Heno. You can find me on Facebook, Heno Hider. And you could go onto Facebook and see my really cute little puppy, who I make public, all of our posts, and our cool puppy adventures. And you can also check me out on my other podcast, the Moving the Needle podcast, where I don't talk about health and wellness, but rather television, movies, and pop culture. And coming up, I believe this week we will be releasing a fun review, a test, well, I guess, is it a pet film? More of a pet film of McCarthy's Spy, Melissa McCarthy Spy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was fun. We had a couple of guests, couple of ladies on with us.
Finally.
So I think we'll put that out on Tuesday as we record. We're going to do Speed versus Point Break.
Oh, nice. That's a good pair. Yeah.
Roy wanted to find a versus for Point Break for a while, and everything we tried with as far as heist movies, it's like everything is too dark, and then Speed popped up on, I think it was HBO, and he's like, hey, I watched that, and he's like, I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Yeah. And you can compare Keanu Reeves' performance in both of them. Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
And there's love interest.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick
There's
Swayze,
Nemesis.
right? Mm-hmm.
Yep. So check us out.
Yeah, do it. Do it. You can find me on Twitter at Stunami. You can find my other podcast at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. That show's not safe for work. It's just me and my best friend talking about whatever we notice. Like this week we talked about pierogi tacos. We talked about Vladimir Putin being voted sexiest or most handsome man in Russia. We talked about some sad stuff like Jessica Walter dying and Dave from Podcast Detroit passing, and I'm trying to think what else we talked about. Oh, Space Jam and the reimagining of Lola Bunny and how it's enraged a bunch of nerds. So yep. So yeah, but it was fun. So, please come check us out. You can also find this show on Twitter at The Crazy Life Pod, where I post when new episodes go up. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/crazylifepodcast. And we're part of the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. I think that's all the links. And of course, as always, if you need help, please reach out, and please check on your friends and make sure they're doing okay. Maybe check on your neighbors and stuff too. And as usual, be kind to yourself and be kind to others, and please help out whenever you can. Just if somebody needs some help and you're around, just don't be those jerks that stayed inside of a place and watched a woman get kicked in the head 3 times that I saw on the news the other night. Don't be those guys.
Don't be them.
Don't be them. Go help. Be good. E.T. be good.
All right. Well, everybody go out there and have the best week you possibly can have. And remember, spread the love, not the COVID. Get those shots, people.